While America was in the golden age of horsepower and muscle cars were tearing up the streets, General Motors was building something absolutely monstrous. GMC 637, 637 cubic inches, 10.4 liters. The largest displacement production gasoline V8 ever built for highway use in America. Today we are diving deep into that iron giant that history nearly forgot. Before we fire up this mechanical monster, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We are uncovering automotive history you do not want to miss. For a while, General Motors did not mess around with V8 engines for their heavy-duty applications. They went straight for a V12. The GMC Twin Six, 702 cubic inches of cast iron fury spread across 12 cylinders. This was not a luxury car engine. This was a workhorse designed to power massive trucks and buses across America's expanding highway system. But here is the thing about the Twin Six. It was complicated. It was expensive. And most importantly, it was absolutely enormous. When you are trying to package an engine into a truck or bus chassis, length matters just as much as power output. By the mid-1960s, diesel technology was starting to make serious inroads into the heavy-duty truck market. The writing was on the wall. Gasoline engines needed to evolve or die out completely. General Motors faced a critical decision. They needed to replace the Twin Six with something more practical, more reliable, and more cost-effective. It still needed to deliver the massive torque and power that heavy-duty applications demanded. So General Motors engineers did what they did best. They got creative, and what they created was something nobody expected. 1965 marked the debut of GMC's answer to the complexity problem, the 637 cubic inch V8. But this engine was not designed from scratch. General Motors took a much smarter approach. GMC already had a proven heavy-duty engine platform, their legendary V6 truck engine series. These engines were bulletproof, reliable, and were already being manufactured in large quantities. The V6 lineup included displacements ranging from 305 up to 478 cubic inches. Here is where it gets interesting. The engineers took that 478 cubic inch V6 architecture and asked a simple question. What if we just added 2 more cylinders? The 637 shared the exact same bore and stroke as its V6 sibling, 5.125 inches bore and 3.86 inches stroke. This was not a coincidence. It was brilliant engineering economics. Pistons, rings, connecting rods, and many other internal components could be shared between the V6 and V8 platforms. The relatively large bore combined with that shorter stroke was deliberately chosen for a specific reason: to reduce piston speed and minimize frictional losses. Remember, this engine was not designed to rev to 7,000 RPM. It was built to produce massive torque at low engine speeds, exactly what you need when you are hauling 20 tons of cargo up a mountain grade. But here's where things got technically challenging. The GMC V6 used a 60-degree V angle, perfect for a 6-cylinder engine. But for a V8, this was mechanically problematic. In an ideal world, V8 engines use a 90-degree V angle. This creates perfect primary balance and smooth operation. But GMC was committed to sharing the basic architecture with their V6 platform, which meant they were stuck with that 60-degree angle. The solution was a balance shaft. This single counterweight shaft rotated inside the engine, producing vibrations that canceled out the inherent imbalance of the 60-degree V8 configuration. It was an elegant solution to a complex problem, making the engine smooth enough for all-day driving in truck and bus applications. The 637 cubic inch engine also departed from its V6 roots in another crucial way: combustion chamber design. Instead of the typical wedge chamber found in most gasoline engines of the era, GMC engineers employed a flat deck with pocketed piston crowns. This design was similar to diesel practice, and if you know anything about the GMC lineup, you'll understand why in just a moment. The flat deck design also bore resemblance to Chevrolet's legendary 348 and 409 passenger car engines, though scaled up dramatically for truck duty. The compression ratio was kept relatively mild at 7.5 to 1. This was not about maximum power. It was about reliability, fuel tolerance, and the ability to run on whatever gasoline quality you might find at a truck stop in rural America. Fuel delivery came from a single Bendix-Stromberg WWC carburetor. One carburetor feeding 637 cubic inches might sound inadequate, but remember the application. These engines operated at relatively low RPM ranges, where throttle response and maximum airflow were not the primary concerns. So how did the 637 V8 stack up against the V12 it replaced? The numbers tell an interesting story. Despite giving up 65 cubic inches of displacement compared to the 702 cubic inch Twin Six, the new V8 was rated at an identical 275 horsepower. Torque output was a tire-twisting 560 pound-feet. These were gross horsepower ratings. They were measured at the flywheel without accessories, using the optimistic measurement standards of the 1960s. But the real advantages were not about the power figures. They were about everything else. The 637 V8 was more than a foot shorter than the Twin Six it replaced. In truck and bus chassis design, 12 inches is absolutely massive. That extra foot of space meant better weight distribution, easier serviceability, and more flexibility in chassis design. Then there was the weight difference. The 637 V8, fully dressed with all accessories, tipped the scales at 1,219 pounds. That is not light by any stretch. The Twin Six it replaced weighed nearly 1,500 pounds. That is almost 300 pounds saved, which in commercial applications translates directly to increased payload capacity or improved fuel economy. By the mid-1960s, the market for large displacement gasoline engines in commercial vehicles was already shrinking. Diesel technology was advancing rapidly, offering better fuel economy and longer service intervals. However, gasoline engines still held significant advantages in certain applications. Fire departments, in particular, preferred gasoline engines. When you need immediate throttle response to rush to an emergency, a gasoline engine's instant power delivery beats a diesel engine's turbo lag every time. Mixed fleets, operations running both cars and trucks, also preferred gasoline engines because they could share fuel infrastructure and maintenance knowledge. There was still a viable market, even if it was slowly contracting. And speaking of sharing, if you are enjoying this deep dive into forgotten automotive history, share this video with fellow gearheads and make sure you are subscribed. We have more incredible engine stories coming up that you will not want to miss. Now let's talk about what happened when GMC took this massive V8 and made it even more interesting. Remember how I mentioned that flat-deck combustion chamber design earlier? That was not just for efficient gasoline combustion. GMC had a bigger plan. The entire GMC V6 engine family featured a parallel diesel lineup built on the exact same basic architecture. These diesels, known as the Toro Flow series, were offered in 351 and 478 cubic inch V6 configurations. This was cutting-edge technology for commercial vehicles in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Now, let us address the elephant in the room. Despite being the largest displacement production gasoline V8 ever built for American highway trucks, the GMC 637 was never common, not even close. GMC and Chevrolet truck buyers in the late 1960s and early 1970s had an absolute wealth of engine options. You could order the venerable Chevrolet Inline 6, proven small block and big block V8s, or the legendary Detroit Diesel 53 and 71 series engines that were conquering the heavy-duty market. By the early 1970s, the writing was definitely on the wall. Chevrolet had developed the Mark IV big block V8 platform, which included heavy-duty truck versions displacing 366 and 427 cubic inches. These engines were more modern, more efficient, more powerful for their displacement, and significantly lighter than the 637. The Mark IV engines also offered something the 637 could not match: parts commonality with high-volume passenger car engines. When you could share components between Corvettes and construction trucks, the economics were unbeatable. Commonality mattered. In 1972, after just 7 years of production, GMC pulled the plug on the gasoline-powered 637 V8. The 1,200-pound iron giant had reached the end of its road. But the story does not end with the engine's discontinuation. There is a legacy here that extends far beyond production numbers. It represents a fascinating moment in American automotive engineering, a transition period where old-school solutions were giving way to modern efficiency, and companies were still willing to build something massive because the application demanded it. The 637 also demonstrates General Motors' clever approach to engineering economics. By leveraging the existing V6 platform and adding cylinders, the company created a new engine with relatively minimal tooling investment. This modular thinking, building engine families with shared components, would become industry standard practice. In 7 short years, it came and went, replaced by more modern solutions. But in that brief production run, it earned a permanent place in the history books as America's largest displacement production gasoline 5.8 for highway vehicles. If you enjoyed this deep dive into forgotten automotive history, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you do not miss our next episode. We have more incredible engine stories to tell, from obscure power plants to legendary designs that changed everything. Drop a comment below and let us know which forgotten engine we should cover next.